At least 4 people have been killed in overnight missile attacks on the city of Kherson in Ukraine's south. And these are the worst strikes the region has seen since it was liberated 2 weeks ago. And the targets were not military installations, but homes and commercial buildings. Ukrainian forces had warned of an escalation in Kherson as Russian troops dug in across the Dnipro River. Well, satellite images released by NASA give some idea of the damage inflicted on Ukrainian infrastructure by that Russian bombing. Here's a nighttime view of Eastern Europe on the 6th of February. That's a few weeks before Russia invaded. And you can see the Ukrainian capital there in the middle. Now, compare that with this image, which was taken yesterday, the 24th of November. As you can see, nighttime Kyiv is now barely visible. And even though there are no borders on this image, you can still recognize Ukraine's silhouette.
The Central American nation of Honduras is under a state of emergency. This as the country faces increasing number of cases of extortion by violent criminal groups. Honduran President Castro has declared a national security emergency and launched what she called a war against gang extortion. She announced the deployment of 20,000 police agents and new security controls on roads. The new measures will allow the suspension of some constitutional guarantees in areas with criminal gang presence.
Thousands of British nurses will go on strike in December, according to the union on Friday. An unprecedented move in the union's century-long history, coming on the cusp of what looks to be a tough winter for Britain's National Health Service. The nurses say it's the first of several possible walkouts in a dispute over pay and unsafe staffing levels as the UK sinks deeper into its cost of living crisis.
France has moved a step closer to enshrining abortion as a constitutional right for the French people, and if things go according to plan, then France will be the first country in the world to do so. The lawmakers in the lower house of the French Parliament approved a resolution to guarantee access to the right to voluntarily end a pregnancy. In what is being dubbed as a rare cross-party move, members of the Parliament from the leftist La France Insoumise party and also President Macron's centrist coalition have now agreed on the wording for a clause that would make abortion a constitutional right in France.
After almost 30 years behind bars, Janusz Walus, the man who killed SACP leader Chris Hani, is going to be released on parole. But with his South African citizenship having been revoked back in 2017, there are questions as to where he'll be spending his newfound freedom. The Polish-born Walus immigrated to South Africa in 1981 and was given citizenship in 1986. But in 2017, the Department of Home Affairs revoked it. If his citizenship remains revoked and no other arrangements are put in place to keep him in the country, then upon his release, Walus will have to be deported to Poland.
Authorities in Namibia on Wednesday took down and relocated a statue of a controversial German colonial officer following pressure from local activists. The monument commemorated Kurt von Francois, a German army commissioner who was credited with founding the capital Windhoek, something local campaigners and historians dispute. Germany colonized Namibia from 1884 to 1915, where it carried out what historians say is the 20th century's first genocide, when it killed tens of thousands of indigenous Herero and Nama peoples.
Libya on Thursday expelled more than 200 migrants who'd entered its territory illegally. The men, dressed in differing tracksuits to identify their nationalities, were handed food supplies by police in Tripoli, before being driven to border crossings with their home country. Embassy staff from the migrants' home nations watched the process. The group of returnees included Egyptians, Chadians and Sudanese. Libya is a much-traveled by route for people fleeing conflict and poverty across the continent.